working. And I am going to call this meeting to order, and I would like to recognize that this meeting is being held on the traditional territory of the Lillooet Nation. And I will open the floor for nominations for chair for 2023.
When he wants to speak, he's muted.
I'll nominate Jen Ford.
Do you accept?
Sure.
Thank you. I'm calling a second time for nominations for chair.
Does anyone else want to do it? Just down.
Nominate Mike for not doing it.
Nominations.
That's a hand from Jenna.
Oh, Jenna.
I'd consider doing it, but I'm also happy to be vice chair and learn the ropes from you, Jen.
I'm happy to be vice chair as well.
That's right. It was Karen.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that the plan? Calling a third time for nominations for chair, none? Okay, Director Ford is acclaimed. Congratulations, and I'll turn over the election of the vice chair to you.
Thank you. I'll call for nominations for vice chair. I will nominate Jenna. Director Stoner. Do you accept? Yes. I'll call for a second time. Any nominations for vice chair? I'll call for a third and final time. Any nominations for vice chair? Okay, Jenna, you are acclaimed. Thank you for stepping up, being vice chair. We have exciting work ahead this year. Awesome.
Congratulations on your election, both
Thank
of
you.
you. That was hard fought.
Yeah.
Rare, they get acclaimed. It's so nice.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to campaigns.
Me too. I wanted speeches. Yeah.
Speech. All
Well,
right.
you should have nominated me, Jacqueline. You could have had a speech. Good heavens. Always willing to oblige.
Thank you, Tony. I know what Mo said though.
Yeah,
So
it was all based
that's
on.
what we were taking into account.
Yeah.
She sent us all an email.
Yeah.
I know what Mo said as well.
Agenda moved by Director Richmond, seconded by Director Herford. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. I'll ask for approval of the consent agenda. Moved by Director Crompton, seconded by Director Stoner. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Any business arising from the minutes? June 29th. It's been a while. All right. I see none. We'll go to 5.1, our provisional budget bylaw number 48-2022. Do we have Director LaFrance joining us? Yes. Thank you. And for the new members in the room, this is a whole other follow-ups that you haven't been a part of before, so feel free to ask questions.
Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, Director LaFrance. Thank you for being here today. We are ready to hear your presentation regarding our provisional budget bylaw.
Okay. So yes, before you is the Sea to Sky Regional Hospital District's provisional budget for 2023. And this is more formality due to the Hospital District Act requiring this bylaw in order to continue operations into 2023. We are still going to be having to approve the 2023 official budget, which will be presented to the board in February and then in March for final adoption. So within this provisionary budget, I just kept the requisition flat to last year, just to show what would be brought into the reserve as the contingency funds currently. So the current, I have to open up this spreadsheet. I wasn't I thought we were still on the SLRD board, so I don't have that open, so just bear with me 1 second.
No problem.
So the requisition level obviously can be adjusted, and this current requisition level allows the full reserve to be $2,070,058 unallocated at this moment. I also included in the report some information about potential projects the board has been proposed from the VCH capital requirements, and also that the board was to deliberate and discuss the CT scanner addition. So I have that listed as items to discuss. And so with those discussions, we'll then review whether to increase the requisition for this year. Last year, the requisition was increased 25%. I'm just double checking my, yes. And then the 2021 requisition was increased 15% over previous year. Any questions from the board on the provisional budget?
So just, Suzanne, to be clear on the process. We're looking at the requisition now, we're talking about the requisition now, and then when we talk into, if we want to get into more capital expenses within the budget, we'll do that later when we're looking at the actual 2023, or is that the time for it now?
Either, really. This is presented for adoption just due to the Hospital District Act. And if the board wishes, they can start to discuss what kind of projects they're looking for their final 2023 budget. And then when I present that, I'll add those in. So discussions can be taken now or in February, or whenever the board would like to.
Okay, thank you. So a follow-up to that, then. So an example of that is the CT scanner. We've talked about wanting to support it at this table in some form. We also don't have a timeline as to when that'll be provided or how that funding might break down. Is it split over 2 years? I think we need a little more understanding as to the purchase and implementation of a CT scanner and the timelines associated. So I'm happy to make sure that this board is still keen to support it, but it seems to me we need a little more information in terms of allocating any capital to it at this point. So that's my general statement on the CT scanner. In terms of the actual requisition, if we're looking for comment on that, I believe we've done some pretty substantial increases over the last few years that have put us on a really strong path to building our reserves by the evidence of an over $2 million reserve. And so I think we've done a great job with that, and I wouldn't be looking to increase that requisition beyond what's been presented to us. Those are my comments.
Thank you. CEO Dalton, did you want to make a comment?
Just in terms of when the board deliberates and considers the requisition, there is, and getting more information on the CT scanner, where that fits into VCH's plan. There is that meeting, chair, the January 19th, yeah, which is ourselves, Cadet, and Cathode and Sunshine Coast with VCH.
As part of the master planning process?
No, it's the joint. We have part of our MOU with Vancouver Coastal Health is that we have to have an annual joint meeting of the regional hospital districts. And so January 19th is the date for that. And they know that our expectation is that this come in their capital plan, so that we understand what they're willing to put up, and then we know how much we'll have to put up.
Yes, and if the board wants, I could, probably should have had this in writing, but I don't know if it would be helpful for the new members to be made aware of the motion that the board passed when presented with the 2022 VCH capital plan, seeking the board's concurrence to invest in that.
Yes. It was in here in the commentary at page 7.
Okay.
That we advised Vancouver Coastal Health that we would not be sharing in their costs until we have a full plan towards the master planning process, as has been promised to us for quite some time. And your predecessor met with us and Vancouver Coastal Health. When was that? June or July?
It was August, I believe.
Okay, so it's, yeah, we made clear that we'll be holding our funds until we get that master planning process underway. And,
Is there
go
a
ahead.
timeline communicated with that? I understand what we're trying to accomplish here, and I've been sort of aware of this issue in that it exists and that this action was taken, but
Yeah,
do they seem to be moving in that direction, or are we continuing
Well, I
like
think-
another year
No.
delay in this process?
my hope is that we have this conversation. I didn't want to presuppose
No,
any conversations. But Ms. McKinnon and I should be talking about this prior to January 19th for sure. Yeah, I have Director Stoner, then Director Rainbow, and then.
Thank you through the chair. I think similarly, I was just going to ask, we did write that letter. I'm curious if we ever heard back from VCH when we said that we were going to withhold those capital funds.
I don't think we ever got a formal response.
Not formally, and just out of the meeting where it was reinforced, you reinforced those 3 points, they acknowledged them, and in particular, there was conversation around meaningful engagements. So how should VCH be approaching the board as opposed to showing up once a year saying, here are the projects we want, please sign a check?
Yeah.
It should actually be meaningful engagement as they build those priorities based on the master plan. So there was acknowledgement, but nothing formal yet.
Okay, thank you.
Director Rainbow?
Oh, I just wanted to follow up on that. You know, for several years, we've been talking to them about changing the way that they do things. And I was really pleased to see the letter that went out last year. I thought when those two gentlemen came to speak to us, we were very, very clear about what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it. And I think we were very clear about not wanting to pave driveways and things like that. So I was quite surprised to see the list of 4 things that they're asking for this year. You know, what are they doing? Are they saying to us, we just didn't listen to you? We're not prepared to listen to you? We also, I thought, quite clearly said to that, I'm not quite sure what his name was now, I'm sorry, that the CT scanner was a priority for the doctors in the Sea to Sky, and that it was one that we shared, and we wanted to see some evidence that they were working towards it. And their response for 2022 was, oh, we can't do it for this year's budget. And I thought we clearly said to them, make sure that is, you know, in your plans for 2023. That is our priority. And I'm really disappointed that they haven't taken us seriously. And I hope that we will just, once again, sort of push with them that this process is not a one-way street. It's a negotiation, and they have to listen to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Crompton.
We've taken a long time to get to this point, and I know it's frustrating, but I think we're in the exact right spot. Like, we are in the precisely correct spot by saying, sorry, you misunderstood. You don't send us your priorities, we send you our priorities, and we'll continue to do that. And here's the CT scanner, and we would like to invest in that. And if they don't, then we keep our funds. But I think that the plan that we have of you and Director Stoner meeting with doctors, meeting with the hospital district, meeting with the clinic here, meeting with those groups and understanding their priorities so that we are driving local priorities rather than picking up the end of their budget sheet that just dropped off the end of their budget sheet is the right process. But I guess I don't share the frustration, because I think it's like, finally, we're getting there. We've got the money in reserves. We are making our asks. They are sort of ignoring us, but you can only ignore us for so long because we got significant resources that we can put into the healthcare system if you are willing to take local priorities seriously. So it may take another year or two, but it's taken 10 to get us to this point where we've built reserves and we're ready to invest. Because typically what we do is we'd say, oh, let's pick up their CO2 canisters just because we did, but now I'm enthusiastic that we've said no to anything that isn't a local priority and we'll continue to develop ours. We should put a couple more below CT scanner as a result of this.
Keep adding to it.
Yeah, like our list is here and now we've got option 2 and 3 that we'd also like to invest in. So I think we're flipping the process on them. And I think that was the intended process itself.
And I don't think, I agree with everything you just said. They haven't been necessarily ignoring us. But Clive has retired and there's been 3 different Darlene McKinnons in the last 2 years. And there was an election on our side, so not ready to engage during September, October. And so here we are. I've stayed engaged with I'm one of the members of the Squamish Primary Care Steering Committee and the Whistler Primary Care Steering Committee, which gives me insight into those priorities so that when we have the conversation around what are the priorities of locals, we know where they're coming from. Go ahead.
I just want to say, I believe, based on every conversation I had during the election, that the priorities of our communities is primary care.
Yeah.
And so I would imagine that one of the things that we could support going down the road are investments in primary care throughout the region. So the CT scanner, I think, is still top of our list, but I would be supportive of seeing primary care jump on there too.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the meeting to get into the details of this, but my possibly misunderstanding from the meetings I have attended was that between our reserves and funding that was either in place, like fundraising, or that people had great confidence in, the obstacle for the CT scanner was not the funding, it was VCH's willingness to move on it.
And it's not a no, it's a, we want to understand the master plan and how that fits into the master plan. But everybody out there is like, yeah, we get it. Like CT scanners are no different than, hand washing stations. Like they're super necessary to hospitals now. So it's just a matter of, let's get that master plan done and understand that. And we're down that road. So. Anyone else? This is exciting. All right, so.
Chair,
So would anyone like, yes, go ahead, Jenna. Director Stoner. Oh, you muted yourself.
I had one other question on the provisional budget. There were just a number of items that were in the 22 budget that looks like they haven't moved. And they're being carried forward to 2023. Am I reading that correctly? And I'm assuming that delay is implementation from VCH on those projects?
Yes, I did reach out to VCH wondering about those projects because some of them are quite old. And I requested if these funds were still available and they said yes, that they do want to keep those funds for these projects. They haven't completed them 100% yet. So I imagine they'll start invoicing for these remaining projects soon. But yeah, it's just based on invoicing from VCH.
Okay. So would someone like to move the adoption of the provisional budget? The first 3 readings, moved by Director Richmond, seconded by Director Crompton. Further comments?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And move adoption of the bylaw, moved by Director Richmond, seconded by Director Herford. Comments? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. EAO verbal update.
Just one quick item, and that's that the discussion you just had is of course happening in other regional districts. So we're we're not alone in this, and I was thinking of the 1-2 December conversation around advocating for healthcare. And more of a question or something to think about going forward is, but what can we do better support the advocacy in this area? So how do we, looking at what some other regional districts are doing in addition to individual meetings, having forums, pulling healthcare providers, meeting with the community to help establish those priorities? It's just something I wonder about, whether this, as you say, if the issue is that important, we should think about how we might be able to better support that advocacy work.
I have a meeting with the chair of the Sunshine Coast Regional District or Regional Hospital District next Wednesday. So. Anyone else? Question? Okay, move receipt of the CEO verbal update, moved by Director Crompton, seconded by Director Richmond. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. No late business. Oh, 7.1 Chair's verbal. I think I've said everything that. 6.2 board meeting calendar. January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So just not August, October, and November.
I'll move it as presented. I'm assuming if we decide there's no business, then
Yes.
you can always cancel it. So I'll move as presented.
Seconded by Pettingill. Comments? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I don't need to say any more for my verbal report. Any late business? No. Any notice of motion? No. Someone move adjournment of this meeting? Moved by Director Crompton, seconded by Director Burford. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you both, Tony and Jenna and Director LaFrance for being here, and we'll see you later.
Thanks, everybody. Have fun at the party tonight.
Okay.
Oh, you're not coming, Jenna?
My kids.
No, I can't make it.